I think it's important to know that kids aren't bad. Going through it logically, a child's behavior is a result of his genetics and upbringing. If it's a result of his genetics, well then it's not their fault. If your bad behavior was a result of your genetics, then you have no reason to beat yourself up any more than not being able to lift 500 pounds. If your bad behavior was a result of your upbringing, and remember, your parents were kids, probably less intelligent than you, then you simply responded to the incentives as they were presented to you. Your habits formed in response to incentives, creating a structure of habits. This habit structure was punished or derided for not being correct by the same people who laid down the incentives, those kids who raised you. A child cannot go against his parents in any systematic way. If the parent told the child he was bad, then the child would internalize that he was indeed bad. And this is before the child can evaluate these propositions, and so the child is taught that he is bad, then the layers of thought develop over that to sustain this horrible fantasy. This is not to say that one enjoys believing they are bad, any more than one enjoys believing Barack Obama is the president or enjoys a nightmare, but just that they do believe it. Also, the parents who are just kids probably told you that getting good grades is good. Why would this be? The state forces people to pay for education camps that they mismanage, and any alternative education plan must be approved by the designated state agency. As a kid, you are effectively forced into one of these gulags and told by the parents that good performance is good. It is insane, and the parents usually buy into this nonsense. I was constantly berated by my parents by my parents and my peers and my teachers for getting bad grades. It was darkly hilarious that these teachers were actually trying to teach things to anyone but the most promising and engaging kids. That is, they were actually trying to teach the average person to appreciate Hamlet. And yes, if you had a problem with some pretentious mouth breather who couldn't get a real job telling you how many times a month you can urinate at certain times of the day, well then there's clearly something wrong with you. Of course, teachers are providing value, right? Well, let's see. So you're required to attend a series of classes by law. Alright, that's already a bad sign. Now, these classes that you go to, they are lectures, and they are lectures which you can't pause, right? There's no pause button. You can't rewind them, and which you can only see once at a certain time each day. Actually, no, you can only see one lecture at one time, like ever, because they're all different, because they all have a progression. Now, you can ask questions in these classes, but you can also ask questions if you had a tutor. Let's say there was a system with some video lectures, some standardized tests, and a few tutors on hand. Like you had people go into a room, they had all these computers set up, all these video lectures. If they had questions, they'd go ask a tutor. Imagine how much better we would do in this system. And so while the charade of having a person stand in front of the kids, this is all pre-video nonsense. What did you say? Well, please save your questions until the end. Imagine just being able to rewind it like you can with a free video on YouTube. So why do we have this system? Well, just keep in mind that organizations will inevitably fight to survive and grow. And where there is no state, the way you survive and grow is by making stuff people will buy. And you can earn profits that way, and then you can build your organization by selling stuff that people value. Right? That is, you add value to resources. Now, where there is a state, the way you grow your organization is by lobbying the state to get subsidy, and grants of monopoly privilege, or just sometimes outright control. Like you get the state to directly control educational services and then put the existing leaders of the educational services at the head of this new government bureau or department, right? Or like the Department of Education. But the broader point is that any reform of the education system will be exceedingly difficult because the people who make a living are wedded to the current system, and they will use whatever state apparatuses, be they local, state, or federal, they will use the laws to fight any effort to allow choice or efficiency. They will go to the wall to maintain their parasitical position, and they'll spin tall tales about it all being good for the children. Because the state doesn't have to compete. This system was instantiated before easy access to video, and state programs are semi-static because they don't have to get customers. so they have zero incentive to change it. You have kids going into puberty. They are physically and mentally ready to burst out onto the world. And what is their assigned task? To spend their days in tiny little rooms, in tiny little desks, in neat little rows, being taught the most vapid, mainstream academic horseshit there is, and then getting graded on it. Lincoln was a good man. Roosevelt pulled us out of the Depression. Most of the kids were raised by immature kids. That is, they were told to believe in morality defined by kids, or morality that is a bunch of mainstream sewing circle nonsense. Then, before any of this damage was repaired, they were sent to 12-year education camps where their minds were systematically destroyed and were programmed to obey the state. Remember, a .gov website is always a reliable source. And you can see this process occurring. Early on in the semester, the kids are energetic, asking questions and doing things, and over time the habits settle into lines. Sit at this table, go to this class, go home, do this work, maybe go to this training facility. And I believe it is this combination of the parochial and parenting and the Prussian education that makes people slide right into obeying the state. It serves the same braking function as the religions of the past. And when you consciously recognize the state as a fantasy, you will see that you are surrounded by mystics and live in a dark age. Hopefully, as technology gets more advanced, the state altogether will be outgrown. Individuals can see the entire planet, can do a Google search on any product, food, or drug, and see the health ratings of Consumers Report. This was not possible when the FDA was founded. The uninsured are getting doctor's visits at Walmart for $45. The idea of a state monopoly on currency is being questioned more and more, and people are realizing it's no more real money than Chuck E. Cheese tickets. In fact, Chuck E. Cheese tickets inflate a lot less. Gangsterism and various fanaticisms are becoming increasingly marginalized, a relic. Nuclear weapons render conventional warfare obsolete. People can see each other. The veil is being lifted, and it's not scary anymore.
Take off your